Alright, once again, happy Solosexual Pride Day. So today I'm going to go on strike for solosexual awareness. I'm not going to physically strike out of work, but I'll definitely raise a lot of awareness at work about solosexual equality. Now there is some policies that I want to bring up. So actually I work at a tutoring center, and I'm not very pleased with one of their policies of we need to greet the students by name and to find out what they're involved in at school with extracurricular activity. Now, the problem with that is that it really invites a lot of bullying. And let's face it, not everybody beats at the same wavelength, right? The idea that we need to find out about the students' personal lives and what sports they're involved in. Well, what if we have a disagreement about their personal choices in life, right? I would imagine a lot of my other colleagues could never understand why some of the students don't want to don't want to make friends or get involved in dating when they're older, and that just invites a lot of bullying, right? And then we wonder why kids bully each other, right? When at a tutoring session, it really should be just about the educational material, not their preferences in life and all that. And at the tutoring center where I work at, thank God that they make it a policy not to eat at their desk. I've been at other tutoring centers where I sometimes have to tell the kids, I have allergies, so could you please go somewhere else to eat, something to that effect. Now, I had one student who made me really nervous. He was eating some finger foods that I knew I would react badly to. I have eczema. But I knew he was a big troublemaker. And I knew the minute I told him that I would react badly for that, he would realize he had a weapon on his hands. Let's put it that way. And so I ended up having to, this was before this term was even invented, I ended up having to social distance from him. And it created a lot of problems. He thought that there was something else going on. And later on, after our boss had heard back from his family that something had happened, I explained to my boss what had happened. And my boss thought I could have went up to him to tell him about the situation instead of social distancing from. See, if I did it today, it might be a little bit more understandable, right? But this was before social distancing was invented, and so, or at least made popular. So it created a little bit of a problem. But I can only imagine what it would be like if you had an instructor who beat at a different wavelength. Maybe you had a student, maybe 16, 17 years old, and is homosexual, and I'm talking about all the wonderful times he's having with his partner, and then one of my colleagues may not be able to may not understand that. You just create a lot of rift by finding out the students' personal lives. I don't know why we even have such a policy, right? I guess we need to be more understanding of their personal lives, but let's face it, nobody has seen every permutation of life that is possible, right? I will acknowledge there are probably sexual orientations that I'm not familiar with, and I'll have to deal with it when I see it. Now, about other issues, I sometimes hear about how we need to. I read a lot about prejudice against singles and discrimination at the workplace, and how we could balance that out with. We don't need to balance anything. What we need to do is live and let live. That's it, right? Stop having things that revolve around only people with family members. Don't have additional policies that just fight discrimination with reverse discrimination, right? Just live and let live. So what do I mean by that? Well, one way to visualize this, and this is a frustration I shared with another one of my students. I had a student who was left-handed, and we had some difficulty finding a good furniture and equipment, and it really hit me how much of her life is built around people who are right-handed, right? Unfortunately, we have built a society that revolves around marriage and relationships. We hardly even notice it anymore, right? So, for example, try going out to a restaurant as a single individual. Try finding a living situation that works as a single guy, right? As much as we talk about how expensive housing is in Seattle. You don't even know the magnitude of it. If you're solosexual and you're competing against other people who are in two-person groups, or whether it be same or opposite sex, it doesn't really matter. But try doing that. I mean, and the problem is that all of our housing is built with the idea that 2+ people are going to live in it, right? And we do have people, even in big cities like Seattle, we do have people who live long-term in dormitories, like hostels, and people just make fun of them, right? Over in Poland, where I was staying in the hostel in Warsaw, I think I had a few neighbors who were there long-term too. Nobody seems to have a problem with that, right? But here in the United States, for some reason, it's everybody's business, right? I don't know why. I really don't. So what we need is not additional policy. What we need is to live and let live. And I don't even personally care if people understand solosexuality. I just want people to live and let live. That's it. It's really that simple. And that is such a hard concept for a lot of people. They need to put their nose up your lives for some reason. So next month, I'll probably want to install some healthy lighting in the office now that the days are getting shorter. And I can only imagine how many questions I'm going to have to field about that. We need to live in a society that is less intrusive about stuff like that, right? Don't even get me started on every time I need to refuse various foods, or, I just enjoy my life the way Oh, there is one other thing. I talked about restaurants of not being welcoming to people who are solosexual. I think we need to get rid of tipping. I think part of the reason is that people see me go in as a solosexual. They think I'm not going to tip very well, so the service is lousy. And sure enough, the conclusion is that solosexuals don't tip very well, right? But that applies to a lot of groups, not just solosexuals. Anyway, happy Solosexual Pride Day.